Hey guys, today I want to talk the big deal that happened this week in gaming and how Sony, with striking that deal with Microsoft, ended the console war as we know it. Let's get into it.
Flying high as a kite. Flying high as a kite. With a penalty. Jesus society.
What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? It's your boy MM2K back again with another one. You know, I'm having a little bit of problems right here. Again, because of the great, fantastic work of Google via YouTube. I can't even see my stream. Come on, man. Come on. Okay, now it's showing me the stream right here. But it got, man, this is ridiculous, man. Y'all hearing that in the background. My bad. What's going on, people? Yo, the nail bait in the chat already. What's going on, good fella? Or good lady, I'm not sure, but thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Do me a favor, tweet this out to everybody if you can. I'm just trying to, let's see here. I'm just trying to send out some notifications because this is all last minute. And I definitely want a lot of people to hear this because unfortunately we have the idiot herds running amok YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. And as gamers, we're living while history is being made, okay? Big up to the brother Post Up. Big up to Michael Morris. What's going on? We're living in an era where history is being made. This is a historic. And instead of us focusing on the new path that has been set, we have too many out here that are still clinging on to old inclinations, old mindsets, still pounding their chest over a war that is effectively and essentially over. It's done. It's over. And I've been chilling like a villain. Excuse me. Doing the Lord's work for my wife so she don't beat me to the white meat. I've been cutting the grass, taking the kids out. Went to go see John Wick. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that too as the room fills up. Dark Lord Fusion, what's up? And I've been listening to these podcasts, right? And I'm shaking my head, man. I'm shaking my head. As a community, and again, I don't want to. I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box, right? But as a community, man, we got a lot to learn, man. Facts. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but I want to thank everybody that is listening now live in the chat. You can hear me give them their salutations. You may have, if you're listening via on demand, like if you're listening on YouTube or Mixer or Twitch later, I appreciate you listening to this. This is one that you're not going to want to miss. And if you've been rocking out with your boy, I can be long-winded. I can't be long-winded today. First and foremost, I still got to do the Lord's work, right? And I got to do some stuff for my wife before she gets mad. You know what I'm saying? And then, let's see what else is going on here. And then I also got to make sure that I, what's going on here? I'm trying to send this out to a couple places. Wouldn't let me. And then I also got to get the hell out of here because I'm sweating. It's too hot. And I can't run no fan, no AC or nothing like that because it'll pick up on the mic. I'm not rich like your boy J-Dub City. He got $30,000 microphones and he done bought out all of Paramount Studios. You know what I'm saying? He showed it all on Twitter. But I appreciate y'all if y'all can just go to your favorite gaming platforms or your favorite social media platforms altogether. Tweet this out for me. Put it in Facebook, whatever the case may be. Discord. Just let them know, man. We're going to have a serious conversation. We're not going to take up too much time doing it, but the time that we do spend on it is going to be very impactful. I guarantee you that. Big ups to Tip Diamond. What's going on, Cyrus Burke? Thank you very much. Oh, White Kong. One White Kong. Long-winded. That's right. And Metal Kick Up. What's up, man? Hey, yo. See, they was trying to come for your neck last night, man. We're going to even this all out. Kickle. We're going to even this all out, man. Because I feel a lot of anger was thrusted at my man, Meta Kickle. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was going to ask for a link, but my wife was listening to me, listen to the podcast, and the podcast, I'm talking about Luca podcast. It was fire. Definitely check it out. It was fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Homie Luca doing it as always. But what I felt some frustration because some things have been partaken by Sony and Microsoft, and I felt like my man Meta Kicker became a target, right? Whether you agree with what he had to say or not, he definitely became a target. So I love my YouTube people. I love all of y'all. I love the entertainment that y'all provide. But see, what I think we fail to realize in this whole entertainment realm is that there are people that come to be educated, okay? And we lose our ability to educate people when we take conversations out in the weeds just for the sake of fighting again a war that is officially over. That is the overarching theme right now. And I don't care if your material prior to this was predicated on that war. I don't care if you've grown a following because of the war. I don't care if you were introduced to these streets because of the war. I was introduced to these streets because of the war. But you got to show a level of versatility that'll keep you rolling even after the war is done. Like, for instance, as you all know, the last episode of Game of Thrones is airing tonight. After that episode airs, do you think HBO on primetime every night is going to talk the throwback on Game of Thrones? No, it's over. Time for a new chapter. Elevate the discussion. Right? Right. Okay? We're going to try to do that today. Now, with that being said, we talk a little bit about why I've been away a little bit. Just real quick, as it's filling up, as the room fills up. I've been away because I'm trying to play this Rage 2, man. Rage 2 is a sleeper hit to me. I mean, a sleeper hit as far as quality is concerned. It may not be a hit sales-wise, and from what I understand, they've dropped the price of it at some retailers because they're not seeing numbers that they like, and that's a shame. But the reason why that's happening, and that ties into this whole discussion, is the narrative has changed. And because the narrative has changed this gen, what consumers want, the big whoop to do has changed. What do I mean by that? First-person shooters are not it anymore. They're not it. The number one game, multiplayer game, is third person. Fortnite. Now Apex Legends is coming on that, it's creeping up on that ass, pause. But again, it's still not touching Fortnite. Everything is third person now. The first person mantra has been oversaturated in the minds of a lot of people. I saw this coming. A lot of people saw, even though I love first person games. So when you control the narrative, Sony, and you're known to specialize in said type of games, and you keep hammering it home, it only works in your favor. So regardless of what I'm going to talk about today, I just want everybody to understand that when your company of choice is not fighting for you 24/7, there's a problem. And the problem for people like me is now we're seeing games, good games, like Rage 2, not get their just due because they're first person. Or they're not heavily story driven, or their story made slack off. What happened to rambunctious gameplay and fun and, you know what I'm saying, and all the other crazy stuff? Everything doesn't need a goddamn cinematic lifetime story. That's what my Netflix is for. But see, when y'all mix everything in the pot like gumbo and have it served out of the same ladle, then there's only one or two different lanes that get to shine, that get focused on. Everything else gets thrown to the side. Point in hand, I'm going to drop a video on this. Division 2. Okay, everybody dogged Anthem. Days Gone got dogged in a lot of ways because it's open world. A bunch of games this year got dogged. Metro, which Metro is the best Metro in the series, right? But it got dogged because they tried to expand to be a little bit more open world, right? And they're first person at that as well. So if you're not a more linear or have more guardrails up, you're not third person, you know what I'm saying, with the exception of Fortnite, but again, that's third person, then you're at risk this generation, right? So with all that happening, you don't have Microsoft at the helm anymore, pushing that product. Rage 2 comes out, and all of a sudden, everybody's crapping on Rage 2. But a lot of people have been discussing with me. They were like, "Hey, look, Rage 2 would have been a prime game for Microsoft to at least have as a timed exclusive." And I get the argument that people said time exclusives don't work. Look at Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, even though it's a cool game and all the Tomb Raider games, they're cool, they do not hit the demographic of the Xbox core. The Xbox is the shooter box. And my man Z brought this up in his interview with Randolph Thor. How do you go away from what you're known for, and you haven't even mastered that yet? And you let the competition grab all of the notoriety for the shooter box. Your mantra, the shooter box. Call of Duty got all the advertisements on Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Destiny is primarily known with PlayStation. I mean, Call of Duty is with PlayStation. Destiny's with PlayStation. You know, synonymous with PlayStation, right? So when your company's not fighting for you 24/7, regardless if they're in a bad way or not, when we don't get games like Rage 2, that should have been an exclusive. At least a timed exclusive with the relationship that Bethesda has with Microsoft. And to trickle back a little bit what I was talking about Division 2 before I went left. I'm talking about people going left, but here I'm going left. The Division 2 got all these accolades, right? Because it was a sequel. Normally the sequels will get the accolades. Just like how Destiny 2 got accolades before they started shitting on Destiny 2. Excuse my French. But now they trying to shit on Division 2 for not having raids to where you can do it with randoms. I don't believe in doing raids with randoms. Raids are for, everything ain't for everybody. If you have a team that's killing it in Division 2 and they're doing the damn thing in Division 2 all the time, then that's what the raids are for. Every game mode is not for everybody. But in this day and age, everything is supposed to be for everybody. So I digress. But with that being said, now they're starting to shit on Division 2. But they didn't at first, like they didn't Destiny 2. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? The Division 2 did horribly in sales. It did not reach the benchmarks that Ubisoft expected. So whether it's with reviews or with the general public, the mantra is being controlled under the third person story realm. That's what's being successful. Microsoft didn't step down hard enough with its footprint, and hence why games like Rage 2 are not getting the shine today. So it's always important that your gaming platform of choice, not console, because again, the console war is dead, but your gaming platform of choice always stays in the fight. Because if they don't, then the less risk people will take in making the games that you like. Right? So you always got to fight. But that's where it segues into this conversation that we're going to have. But now that I think we got good enough amount of people watching, let me go back to the chat. The Almighty Spartan God, he said it's over. Sony won. They beat Nintendo Sega. Dark Lord Fusion says you're so right, MM2K. I appreciate that. Thomas Franks was good, King. Good to see you. Good to see you, bro, homie. Hey, yo, big up to my homie Thomas Franks, man. He's always been a good supporter, even when they was trying to call your boy a closet pony. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, Thomas Franks always been a good dude, man. Appreciate Thomas, man. So we're gonna talk about what the Almighty alluded to in his opinion, which is it's over. Sony won. They beat Nintendo, Sega. Now Microsoft in the home console space. And I'm pretty sure you guys already have, because this is a lively chat. But, let me know what you think about that in the chat. But here's the thing. For those of you that are not aware of what I'm talking about or what I'm getting excited about, let me read to you the story as told by USA Today. Now, I normally don't go to USA Today for gaming news, but I've been combing over all this information, trying to get different takes, and I thought it was interesting how USA Today wrote this up. All right, so if y'all can see that, it says Microsoft and Sony team up for video games in the cloud, but what's it mean for gamers? All right, Microsoft and Sony usually battle out in dominance for console video games, but in the growing realm of cloud gaming, in which games stream over the internet just as Netflix does, the two tech titans have decided to team up. Their collaboration announced Thursday focuses on developing improved cloud delivery of games and other content, as well as delivery of Sony's current services using Microsoft's Azure data center platform. The two companies will also join forces on developing smarter images sensors using Sony's sensor capabilities and Microsoft's artificial intelligence technology. All right. So let's focus on that part, okay? Because you have a lot of people that want to fight the notion that, hey, these are staunch enemies with trying to put each other's necks within the guillotine and chop each other's heads off. And the war has not ended. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. You don't. Okay, let me use a boxing analogy. Roy Jones Jr. I always call Floyd Mayweather, all right, and Pacquiao, the two of the biggest rivals this boxing era, right? Say if after beating Pacquiao, Roy went to Pacquiao and everybody said, Roy gave it to Pacquiao. And then they signed up for a rematch. And everybody got their bets hinged on Roy. And Roy said, you know what, I got an announcement to make. I'm signing up for I'm signing up to Pacquiao's training team. I'm going to be training in his gym. We'll be holding all of our meetings in their conference rooms. You know what I'm saying? And down to where his people will be making the material for my entrance outfit to the big fight. Do you really think that a rematch is going to be scheduled, or if that rematch is going to be, blade to the neck competition? Absolutely not. It is not. With that being said, on the same token, Roy says Pacquiao's fighting style is sleepy, is stupid. It don't make any sense. So Roy's fan, listen now, Roy never says this in this scenario. His fans say Pacquiao's fighting stance and stuff, it's off. It's sleepy. Look what it did. He lost. It don't mean nothing. Roy would never use that fighting stance. He would never take anything from that fighting style. It's horrible. And then in the same token, Roy announces that he's training with Pacquiao's trainers. In a world where that happens, how can you still have the mindset that you can trust anything any of these game companies or developers or publishers say? How? You got to understand where you as the consumer, where you fit into this whole situation. They're not listening to you. You are a catalyst to a means, and I'm going to get to what that means is. So with that being said, there is not going to be a staunch fight between Microsoft and Sony anymore. It's over. They are now joining forces to fight what they feel is the new enemy, Google and Amazon. We already know that Microsoft was terrified of Google and Amazon, more preferably Google because they're coming out the gate with stuff. And then Amazon as well, because it seems like Amazon is more focused on content than they are delivery. They were terrified. They got this whole cloud service going up, and they don't know if it's going to be successful. Sony, on the other hand, even though they won the battle, they realized there was a bigger war ahead of them. So yeah, they got their fans gassed up. Man, Pacquiao's fighting style is garbage. We would never do that. We're focused on hardware primarily. If you don't come to our hardware, then you don't get the goods. And guess what they're doing now? They done went with Pacquiao's trainers. So all of y'all still sitting out there trying to fight this battle of Sony only did this because they wanted cheap servers. Sony only did this because Microsoft paid them for semiconductors and they said, oh, well, what the hell? No. Sony and Microsoft have teamed up. They didn't merge. They didn't decide to combine studios and stuff like that. Nobody said that. But they have teamed up, and that fierce battle is over. Now, whether you want it, like to my homie D Almighty's point, whether you want to call this one a winner, that's all subjective. We'll get into that later. Big up to the Metaphor Kick for subscribing. I appreciate you. But the console war is over. I got people out here on Twitter talking about, well, yeah, they done signed on to their services and their servers, but the console war ain't over because the console war means to me, it don't matter what it means to you. If it mattered what it meant to you, Sony would have never did this. They had you fools running around here for years talking about, it's all about the hardware. Yeah, we got PS Now out here, but nobody cares about that all like that. When the time comes, years down the road, they'll focus on that if it's a necessity. And before you can finish that goddamn sentence, guess what happened? They done went to Pacquiao and signed up with his trainers. Wake the hell up! With that, let me go to my chat. Oh, man. Jeez Louise. Philosopher Doom. He said, holy crabapple. What's up, Mose? Telling you, man. These cats out here, they sleepy as hell. They need to wake up. Now, let's get into the facts, because a lot of people are saying there's facts not being shared out here, MM2K. And we're worried about the facts. We're worried about gamers being misled. We don't want gamers to be misled. So let's talk about the facts. Okay. Well, you know what? Before I get into the facts, let me talk about, let's break this down in 3 parts. Now that I see it. Let's do it this way. I want to talk about the Xbox fanboys' motivation for the things that they're saying. I want to talk to Sony fanboys' motivation for what they're saying. And I want to then talk about the facts and then talk about what we should all take from this in order to make this a fruitful discussion. Because right now it's not fruitful. It's dumb as hell. First and foremost, this is why the Xbox fanboys are in glee. This is why, simply put. Because the Sony fanboys have been out here saying Sony would never do this. They don't need to follow the loser. Again, Floyd Mayweather beats Pacquiao. Clowns, y'all all clowning. Pacquiao's fighting style is just this, that, and the other. 2 months later, Floyd Mayweather started up to his gym and his trainers. Like something, the audio don't match the visuals. Right? Right. That's what the Xbox fanboys are all worked up about. A lot of them have resigned to the fact, and that's why there's so much uproar and there's so much division in the community. A lot of them have already resigned to the fact that Microsoft no longer wants to compete. They're already resigned to that fact. They're just waiting for this last E3. And I know, wait for E3, wait for the Tokyo Game Show, wait till Comic-Con, wait till Con Air. I get the memes and all the jokes, right? But they're waiting for this E3 to officially see, is Microsoft going to bring it? Are they going to bring the hardcore? Do we like a Raw? How about some hardcore? All my MOP fans out there. They looking to see if Microsoft's going to bring the hardcore. And if they don't bring it, then you might see a dramatic drop off, right? You might see it. Facts. With that being said, the only reason why that they're focused on this is not because they're looking for some cross-end benefit, even though it has been pointed out in various discussions that, yeah, by Microsoft getting more money, that helps them buy more studios or invest in more games. And it's very clear that Microsoft has stopped, put everything to a halt, and they're realigning their forces for next generation. So this E3 is going to determine if they're realigning them in an appealing way to the masses or if not. And a lot of people want to believe that it may be, they're on the fence, but it may be. So they're waiting for E3, which is only a couple weeks away, right? But again, a lot of, not all, I'm going to say it's 50-50. About half of the Microsoft fan base have come and resigned to the fact that Microsoft don't want to compete anymore. They don't want to, they don't want to compete with Sony anymore. They don't want to compete with Sony in the street fight level. They feel like they're bringing it up a notch, bringing it to the boxing realm. They don't want to do the MMA anymore. They want to bring it to boxing. They don't want to do that. They feel like MMA is too niche. They want to bring it to boxing where they feel it's more popular, aka the cloud. They feel like they can get more outreach with something that's getting a lot of buzz right now with the cloud. Okay. And a lot of people are upset because there have been jokes and memes about, and I've partaken in them too, where we've joked and we've said, Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be an Azure cloud exclusive. Last of Us 2 is coming exclusively to the Azure cloud to be shown at E3. Now, do I believe that? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Just like y'all wouldn't be surprised to quote unquote see a Gears on a PlayStation. Remember when y'all was talking that mess? Or as a better comparison to all this clapback noise that's happening everywhere, where I think the PlayStation brass is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Remember when PlayStation 5 specs sort of was announced by Mark Cerny and everybody changed their avatars to 8K and you had some of the Xbox fanboys like, oh, you guys are stupid. There ain't no way you could be 8K capable. You could be 8K8 upscale. Remember how there was some of them that did, and y'all laughed and said, y'all ain't taking this as a joke. This is a joke. We don't even care about 8K. Right? Xbox fanboys are too sensitive. Right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. This is exactly what this is. Nobody's expecting Last of Us 2 in their right mind on the Xbox, you know what I'm saying, next year. Nobody's expecting Gears of War 5 even to be on PlayStation 5 next year because they want to do this, you know, at the blink of an eye. I don't know what the future holds. They are on the same servers. Lord knows, but they are collaborating, depending upon how successful this is and how far it penetrates past us, the hardcore, that don't want this type of stuff, that wants a more competitive nature. If they're successful with the kids, like my 13-year-old son, that don't give a shit about the console war. When you talk to 13 and 12-year-olds, they're not fighting these battles like our old-ass Geritol taking 40-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Like I had my 13-year-old son, he knows more about games than me. And you know what he said to me? He said, Dad, you know what's so stupid? I said, what? He said, it's so stupid that I got to get a PlayStation in order to play Uncharted. And I said, son, that's not stupid. It's called competition. It gives you better games. He's like, but Dad, I play my PC games all over the place on any device that I want to. Why can't I play Uncharted? And companies like Microsoft and Sony are now digging the groundwork to make that possible. You know what I'm saying? To make it possible. Will it happen? No. But they're digging the groundwork to make it possible. There ain't no other way to slice it. I may not like it. You may not like it. But again, there's another generation of gamers that are coming up that they're going to get more money from this day forth than they're going to get from us. They are. Because they're spending the $50 V-Bucks and all that other silly stuff. And if they're either the only way they're getting more money from us because we may be buying it for our kids. Right? That's what these companies are thinking of. And when you have your mind state in the area of this company really cares about me as the gamer first and foremost, then you're living in a delusional land. These are Fortune 500. If you don't take anything from listening to MM2K, I please want you to take this. Please don't toss away my 22 years of experience managing managers and at a certain level in the Fortune 500 company. Please don't take it in vain. Please swallow this pill even though it may be a little jagged. No publicly traded Fortune 500 company gives two dog shits about you. First and foremost, they care about their investors, and you're a catalyst to the investors. So, prime example, PlayStation 3 comes out. PlayStation 2 sells so many consoles, unbelievable. Sony says to themselves, we can get these bugs to do anything. We're going to take over the living room, right? You're going to control your toaster with your PlayStation 3, your refrigerator. Remember all that? We're going to get you the PlayStation 3 for $600. Up. Don't like the price? Get a second job. They felt like because they were in your pocket so much with the PlayStation 2, they would get away with that. And guess what? Gamers said, Did the recession hit? Money was tight. And gamers said, hell no, it's not going to fly. Wrong time, pimping. Not going to happen. And guess what happened? In response, PlayStation said, you know what? Our mind share is bad. Our consumer, how much the consumers like us is bad. And I can fester and spoil over like an infection. So even though we care about our investors to the point to where we came up with a $600 machine, a machine that was going to last people for 2 gens. Y'all don't remember that? Where the PlayStation 3 was supposed, that motherboard, that whole setup was supposed to last you for 2 gens. So when the Xbox One came out, you were still going to deal with the PlayStation 3 guts if the PlayStation 3 was anywhere near as successful as the PlayStation 2. Y'all don't remember that? So in response to all that negative fanfare, and big ups to my man, because he got it. Jack Tretton said, we got to be about the gamer. He started giving y'all free games. They started doubling up on their studios, getting quality content, getting exclusive content like the Demon Souls series and all other shit. And they found their new moniker. The old moniker was we control the world. If you want gaming, you got to come to us. Their new moniker became For the Gamer. And it worked. It was marketing genius. It turned the tide. That's why Sony did what they did. They didn't do it because they loved y'all, because they were trying to slap y'all with the Unity ring last generation, and they'd still be slapping the shit out of y'all if it was financially successful. They did it because it was a clever marketing strategy. I'm going to bring it on the flip side. Microsoft. All those fantastic games, Jade Empires, the Halos, and all the goddamn Mass Effects and the Bioshocks, even though they was timed and all other stuff. Showing Fallout original, the Fallout 3 on your stage. All that wasn't because these guys were gamers and they loved doing this for their fans. As much as we would love, as Xbox fans love to believe that. No! They did that because when the PlayStation 3 came out, them mugs were afraid that the PlayStation was going to take over the living room. And in the Steve Ballmer days, that was a concern. Microsoft didn't want anybody taking over the living room besides them. PlayStation 3 was a threat to that. So they went into debt. They put out a box with a 60% failure rate. They did everything they can, again, to win you over. Now you say, how does 60% failure rate win us over? Well, what did they do? We'll pay for it free of charge. We'll pay for it free of charge. And Xbox didn't skip a beat. And all of y'all that want to talk that garbage, well, the red ring of death is what made people Xbox sell more consoles. Stop that garbage. The 360 still walloped the PlayStation 3 and software sold. Every time someone bought a new console because they had the red ring of death, instead of getting it fixed for free, they didn't go buy new games. They didn't have to buy new games with them. Okay? So stop that. But again, Microsoft did that as a reflex because they didn't want PlayStation taking over the living room. As soon as Microsoft's strategy was no longer about, again, taking over the living room, and it became more cloud-based, guess what went down? The quality of your games. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later because I don't want to go too far in the weeds. But I'm trying to have an intelligent discussion with y'all. So with that being said, back to the point at hand. All this whole talk about just going to be Horizon Zero Gears and all that other stuff, that's just Xbox fanboys clapping back over the 8K thing. They know it's over the top. They know it's rambunctious. We all know that Sony still wants to keep their mind share, so they're not going to drop that like that overnight. We don't know what the future holds, but we're doing it to get you triggered, and it's working. Just like when y'all did the 8K thing. It got the Microsoft fanboys triggered because they're like, oh man, how did they announce 8K first? Oh! So you can't have a reasonable discussion getting triggered about that, but then want people to believe that the whole 8K thing was just out there to get people triggered. Okay? So stop. Now let's talk about the motivation of the Sony fanboys. They, again, are mad about the assumption of games coming to Xbox. Now, again, this makes this more likely that if they join together and becomes a fruitful financial venture for both companies, that they might trade services for both systems. But again, Microsoft is totally going systemless base. They want to come to you wherever you're at. The box is just going to be an option. Now, if Sony wants to focus a little bit more on their console and the exclusivity of items on their console, they may do that. But you got to remember that Sony is a hardware maker. This is not the first time that Sony had a piece of hardware that had software from another company. Like, for instance, Sony makes DVDs players and Blu-ray players. Do they say you can only play Blu-rays from that are made in Sony Pictures? No. Right? So if you're looking at this from 5,000 feet, and I'm pretty sure this is how the Microsoft execs probably shine some light on this. Y'all make hardware all the time that takes dedicated software from your competitors. Y'all own Sony Pictures. How come your hardware don't just take Sony Picture movies? Because it would be a failure if it did. Now going into this cloud era, where I don't believe the cloud is going to take over dedicated hardware, but it's going to be a lot more influential. And signs of that is Sony signing this deal. They believe it too. The same ones that sat at PSX and was telling y'all types of shit, but y'all didn't read between the lines like how your boy MM2K was telling y'all to do. So Sony knows this. So if the saturation is deep enough, who knows what the future may hold? Do I believe it's going to happen overnight? No. But who knows? It's all about what makes dollars. Because if it makes dollars, guess what? It makes sense. All right? But let me get to the chat. DJ Singh, what's up? Dark Lord Fusion says first-person shooters have become oversaturated, and I do believe that. I do believe that. And last generation was the cause of that. But what Microsoft could have done is still kept their foot on the gas and just come up with more innovative ways to present first-person shooters. Because I'm gonna tell y'all a little unknown secret. Coming into the sixth generation, I hated first-person shooters. I hated the whole mind state of me not being able to see everything on the screen at the same time. I thought that was so stupid. I thought that was limiting in gaming, and I'm all for games not being limited. But the sense of strategic approach is what draw me into first-person shooters. And it was Ghost Recon, the first Ghost Recon that helped me do it. I got it on GameCube, believe it or not. and I fell in love with it ever since then, man. First-person shooters. I love them. You know? But let me see. Darklink999 says, what if Google fails at launch? What if they don't bring out any games? What then? Here's the thing. If any of this fails at launch, we don't know how much money Sony put in this deal or how long they have to be dedicated to it. They've signed a memorandum of a deal of exploration. Whenever you do that, there has to be money put down. Okay? You don't just walk away from that money in a snap of an eye. So expect this collaboration to happen for a year, maybe two. Okay? At the very least, dependent no matter what happens. If Google Stadia fails, then there's still Amazon. There's still EA. Let me read this article a little bit further, if I can find it. Oh crap. Okay, so let me read this. This is interesting. I'm gonna read this to you guys. Okay, so let me just do this. And from that USA Today article, it says, Sony needed an infrastructure partner to remain competitive as cloud gaming and cloud services start to gain traction, says Piers Harding Roller's director and head of games research and lead AR VR analyst for a IHS Market in a commentary on the Microsoft Sony deal. And if y'all are not familiar with IHS, they're one of the main analysts within the gaming world, right? Microsoft has deep expertise in relation to game services, deployment in Azure, and it's building out its own cloud gaming services. It is likely that this had an impact on Sony's thinking when designing on a partner. Now, again, Amazon is the most popular service out there, but they went with Microsoft. Again, and I saw that same scenario with Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao. There's so many trainers out there. Why would you go with your quote-unquote staunchest enemies training facility unless you're trying to dead that whole situation with y'all at each other's necks? Now, will they still compete in some arenas? Yes. Yes. But is the competition going to be as fierce to give y'all constant material in the console war thing? No. Why? Because the console war is over. Now, to that point that I was talking about earlier, It's also stated here, while the revenue sharing and licensing issues would still need to be resolved for wider cross-platform play. Again, there's a lot of focus on this, bringing cross-platform play. Again, the biggest, staunchest argument against Sony going from a console-less approach, you know what I'm saying, was the fact that, hey, we ain't got to do cross-platform. Our investors don't like it. Come on, man. All right, I'm gonna keep going. But I wanted to get to the part to where, okay, I can't find it. There's a part where they were talking about all the potential streaming services that are coming. There are a lot of potential streaming services that are coming. EA talked about their own streaming service. You know what I'm saying? There's been rumors that Walmart may get its own game streaming service. We got Netflix showing up at E3. So even if Google Stadia fails, which again, that's likely because they had Phil Harrison there. That everything that guy touches turns into sawdust. Woo! I don't know why they picked that dude. He mucked it up with Sony for the PlayStation 3, and then he came to Xbox and was mucking it up in the last generation of the 360, leading into the Xbox One's failure. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways. Right? So, focusing on Google, we don't want to do that. Okay? But with that being said, again, back to what got Sony fanboys worked up. And I think the biggest thing that got Sony fanboys worked up is now the console-centric argument. The console-centric argument is gone. You don't bring... Look, we can sit here and all agree that Gears showing up on PlayStation 5 and Horizon Zero Dawn showing up on Xbox may not ever happen. It may never happen. We can sit there and live with that reality. I don't think that would kill anybody, right? However, what this deal does show is that the whole true exclusive argument, that exclusives are considered basically the hardware, is out the door. And I've been telling y'all that for the Lord knows how long. Just go through my videos. My man Nethos, y'all follow Nethos. Ask Nethos, call him up. Hey, Nethos. Is MM2K telling the truth? Is he telling the truth? I've been telling y'all that you can no longer consider exclusivity to hardware. You have to consider it to the ecosystem. You have to. PlayStation has its own ecosystem now. Xbox has its own ecosystem. It is now hardware agnostic. And if you believe that Sony at first is not going to put its current games on their system now, and then at some point in time, they're not going to put them day and date, then I want you to go to the nearest emergency room and have them pump your body of all that hashish you've been chewing. Because you on something. Tell them to pump your stomach all that bleach you've been swallowing, because I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. That's the type of stuff that's being festered in the gaming community that's a farce. Those are YouTubers or people out in this gaming streets that are leading their people astray. Anybody with any common sense knows that if I'm Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao got a certain stance in his fight that his people specialize in, that when I go train with his people, they gonna show me that whole goddamn stance too. For you to believe that Sony not only went on Azure just to rent the services, but they're collaborating with Microsoft on their services, the same company that is trying to put software everywhere, and they're not going to do it. Get your stomach pumped. Go to the nearest emergency room immediately. Immediately. Because I can't help you here on this podcast. You need a physician. That's leading gamers astray. That's the conversation we don't want to have. If you still want to pound your chest, hey, my ecosystem is better than your ecosystem, then that's the new war to have. But to leave people in a delusional state of mind that Sony is not working on being hardware agnostic, it's bewildering. Beyond bewildering. That's leading people astray. With that being said, let me go back to my chat. The Almighty Spartan God said, Xbox fanboys are trying to find some way to make this a negative. There's nothing wrong with using Azure. All right, so no, there's nothing wrong with using Azure. But here's where I think we got to focus on the Almighty. For years and years and years within this generation, Xbox gamers have been laughed at, been ridiculed over Microsoft's power, the cloud power. Remember that? This is stupid. You got to focus on the dedicated box. If Microsoft would have just focused on the dedicated box instead of buying all these other services, they would have made more money this gen. Those were the arguments. It was stupid for Microsoft to sow its roots and look past this generation. And now, your console or game maker of choice, after winning, because remember, winners don't follow losers, are now hitting down that same quote-unquote stupid rabbit hole. Now, to answer your question, D, is it a bad thing for Sony? No. Is it a bad thing for Microsoft? No. I think them teaming up together for them is a good thing. But it is a bad thing for those who wanted the two major gaming powerhouses to battle and try to steer each other in a more competitive mode, because that type of competition drives better product. It's a problem it's bad for those type of gamers. Like I was on multiplayer podcast with your homie Yabari, and Yabari brought up a good point. Even though we had to beat his legs like Rick James on the Dave Chappelle show, you know what I'm saying? They should have never gave you niggers Yetis. We had to do him like that. But he brought up, I think in all that going back and forth and all that, fighting that we did, I think Yabari brought up the biggest and the most intelligent point of that whole night, which was, what is there for gamers to celebrate because of this? What is there for gamers to celebrate? Sony has brought a lot of PlayStation people what they feel is the greatest generation, which is the PlayStation 4, based off of competition, based off of wanting to curb stomp Microsoft into the ground, to kick them out of existence. And Microsoft, on the other hand, nobody knows if this extra money that they're going to get from Sony is going to lead to more games. Nobody knows that. Because the development output that they've given so far was Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, and Crackdown 3. And now there's talks that the initiative is going to be small scale. Now, if they're going to bump up, we don't know. But this is not what we understood for everything to be. We thought we were going to get a master group of, you know what I'm saying, of game developers, and they were going to hammer some big old game out ASAP. It might end up that way, but it's not looking that way. Perception is 9/10 of the law. So one, it's bad for those type of people that realize that type of competition drives better product. But it's also bad for the fanboy. The fanboy that said that Microsoft would have been better just siloing their focus on just this generation and not planting the seeds for generations to come, because that was proven wrong for the simple fact that your gaming platform of choice came to them to help usher them in a lot of ways into the next generation. So that was a farce. And two, the whole moniker, winners never follow losers. So it's bad for the fanboys, because then you got to ask yourself, what the hell are they? What the hell have they been leading me to believe all this time? I mean, yes, Sony's been curb stomping Microsoft. Yes, a lot of the Xbox fanboys have been throwing around the same rhetoric, and me included. We thought that the X was going to do better, but Microsoft never truly wanted that as a strategy. They just wanted to kill an argument. And they did. The X was not to bring them closer, make them more competitive. The X was out there to save their reputational risk, because they felt like, reputation-wise, all around having the worst console was killing them. That's what they, in their minds. That's what it was all about. And all they wanted to do was stop the bleeding for next gen. But that's not how it was advertised to us. Remember when the X was supposed to come out and Phil Spencer said, first party software is key to the release of the Xbox One X? He said that. So because he said things like that, that led us to believe that there was going to be all this badass software that was going to show the power of the X. Or they were going to at least collaborate with some people to really get the X to like shine and melt our eyeballs with everything. And that didn't happen. You really didn't see that power difference mean anything until, and when I say mean anything, I mean anything at a mass to the widespread consumer, until Red Dead 2 came out. That's almost 2 years after the console was released. It's too late. Too late. Or maybe not 2 years, I think a year. Okay, maybe a year. But that's 12 months is an eternity in gaming. So it is bad for those two types of people. D. Again, for those that have been led astray, and for those that swore up and down that winners don't follow losers. So you have to ask the question, is Microsoft really a loser? They may not be appealing to the hardcore, but to have this type of deal signed, are they really a loser? We know Sony, and deep down within its soul, wanted to curb stomp Microsoft and send them into oblivion. They would love nothing more but to do that, so they could try that same shit that they tried with the PlayStation 3 again. And if you don't believe me, just look at 2019. With investors saying that Sony is having a flat year and that causing all types of ripples and tides in the financial world, Sony is taking away PSX, Paris Game Show. They're not showing up at E3, and they gave y'all this stank-ass state of play. All to cut costs, because they're going to gear up for the next generation. Now, this ain't the first generation Sony had to gear up for. They've been at E3 every year for the last 25 years, and they know that PlayStation fans love fanfare. And they gave that up in a heartbeat for who? The investors. So yes, this looks bad because it shows the fanboys that they're in the realm of suspended disbelief. They're not dealing in reality. Yes, can you argue that Sony curb stomped Xbox this generation as far as saturation is concerned and consumer confidence? Yes, you can. But could you argue that Xbox's strategy was a losing strategy? You couldn't. It was evident. It's all around you. And guess who proved you wrong, Sony fanboy? Sony! I'm just trying to have an intelligent discussion, man. I'm trying to get people refocused on the things that matter here. So what are the things that matter? What are the take from this? Number one, Microsoft is not trying to compete with Sony anymore. We knew that, right? Excuse me. That was said and done once Satya finally had confidence in the Xbox division. They didn't realize we're not trying to compete with these guys because they don't feel like Sony is on their level as far as the outreach. They don't feel like Sony is on their level as far as how many gaming consumers they can get. Microsoft feels like the gaming hardcore. They think the gaming hardcore is toxic in a lot of ways. They do. Phil has called us fanboys. Shannon has come out there and proclaimed all games ain't got to have guns and tried to put Recore on the level of Halo, Gears, and Forza. And they're trying to get beyond us. That's why you got these inside Xboxes. They're trying to give you this coffee shop motif of what the type of gaming community they want broadcasted to the masses. These are the type of people that they want to be the faces of their community. They're trying to purge the hardcore. As far as now, are they going to tell you not to buy their games? No, they want anybody to buy their game. But as far as you having a voice in this community, they don't care about your voice anymore. And that's been evident. So again, to my earlier point, Microsoft and Xbox fans have always been resigned to that fact a while ago. They have been. Regardless of what their argument points were, they were always resigned to that fact. And a simple fact that we're in an era where games like Goat Simulator is getting high scores, but AAA games like Rage 2, which are a blast, are getting dogged. Microsoft sees that. So it's quantity over quality. And the quality is going to be your Halo, Gears, and Forza. And it might be whatever the initiative puts out there, and it might be whatever Obsidian tries to do. It might be. We won't know until this E3. But what we do know is that they want to ratchet it up with a lot of AA software. And your homie, Matty B, has said that. He said that. He said good. And, you can have fun with AA software. I've had fun with Van Helsing. That was my game of the year. Next to the Tomb Raider reboot. I love the Van Helsing series. But I first and foremost want that AAA experience. And Microsoft is letting you know that that is not their focus like it was in years past. When they were trying to take over the living room, that was their focus. Now they're trying to compel you wherever you go. That's different. The second thing to take away from this is Sony only used the gamers first mantra to keep the lights on. Investors have shown you that in 2019. PlayStation 3 was supposed to last you 2 generations. That shit of a box was supposed to last you 2 generations. And as far as its productivity and as far as its the ability to develop for it, out the gate, Sony knew it was horrible to work for, that only their internal studios could work with it, and they didn't care. They said, y'all deal with it. We are Sony. We got 150 million consoles out there to 24 million Xboxes and 12 million GameCubes. We're Sony. We don't need to bow down for anybody. Y'all figure this out. And it was only after years of getting their ass handed to them that they had my man. What was my man's name that did that commercial with Yoshida? This is how you share games on a PlayStation 4. Not Andrew House. I forgot my man's name. The heavyset dude with the glasses. But it was only until then that they had him devise a group to start showing programmers how to use a cell processor. And games at the latter end of the PlayStation 3 started to look better because of it. But that was at the end of the race. So the Gamers First moniker was only brought in, for the gamers. Because they had to. The PlayStation 3 put them in dire straits. I mean, let me keep it jiggy for you. Think about it. Sony, let's keep it real. Let's educate everybody and let's keep it real. Let's not have short-term memory. Sony almost went out of business or was in I won't say went out of, but had financial straits because they were trying to do gamers grimy with the PlayStation 3 era. Get you a second job or whatever. Xbox, on the other hand, lost a whole bunch of money and was in financial straits because they were trying to hit gamers with a plethora of new experiences that just weren't making money for the company altogether because of the red ring of death and other stuff. Now, I only bring that up because it's factual. Not to say that Microsoft cares more about the consumers than Sony. I don't believe that at all. None of them can care about the consumers. Jack Tretton, formerly of Sony, told you himself. Remember in that infamous interview with Hip Hop Gamer? And Hip Hop Gamer was like, man, would you ever collab with Sony again? And Jack Tretton was like, no. I love my time at Sony, but here's the thing about Sony. Sony is only about Sony. They do not care about individual contributions. They don't pave the way and recognize people for them. That's why I had to roll. They care about what the investors are going to do for Sony. That's what keeps them afloat, is the market. And they use you as a catalyst, get back that mind share to attract the investors. When the investors showed that they were not cool with the whole crossplay mantra, they stuck to their guns. As cloud gaming became more pronounced and became more, famous, infamous, then they start looking into cloud gaming, and now they signed under Microsoft with Azure. The writing's on the wall. Get with the times. Graphic Guard, what's up, homie? Adam Boys, thank you, Griggity. Adam Boys, Snow Bunny, what's up? It wasn't until the last few years of the generation that Sony go to Adam Boys and his peoples and had them. We got to really show people how to use this PlayStation, how to develop for the cell processor. That's not consumer friendly to wait till the last few years. Come on, stop. None of these companies care about you. You're a catalyst to the investor. Microsoft threw the kitchen sink at you. Until what? They were no longer concerned about taking over the living room. Sony ain't start throwing the kitchen sink at you until what? Until they realized that, hey, we're ahead now. We got our lights back on. Things are looking good. We don't want to ripple any ties with our investors in 2019, so we're going to cut expenses to make them happy. And hey, we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it looks like to be with this cloud stuff. So we know it's going to make a lot of our staunchest fans mad, but who gives a shit about them? We're going through that tunnel. Michael Morris, appreciate you for coming through. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Big ups to the homie, Mr. Kima. And like I said, if you're truly worried about false narratives being put out there, then stop telling people that Fortune 500 companies will never do X, Y, or Z. If you want to sell your beliefs and sell people's beliefs on a certain gaming moniker or certain gaming beliefs, I believe that the way for gaming is to be console dedicated. That's one thing, okay? That's one thing. But never tell consumers that a Fortune 500 company would never do X, Y, Z. If the market tells them that they should do it, they're going to do it. Please don't throw my 22 plus years Fortune 500 world away. I want y'all to get educated from this, because if you would have been paying attention to your boy MM2K when I've been saying this for the last year and a half plus, this wouldn't be a surprise to you. It wasn't a surprise to me. I just thought it was funny to pick fun at people on Twitter. I'm not surprised by this at all. That's why I didn't hop on the horn and make a video like, oh my God, I'm shocked. I didn't do that. Like, for instance, what shocked me was when Platinum Studios said that, hey, don't blame Microsoft for Scalebound. That shocked the hell out of me. Big up to my homegirl Snow Bunny in the chat, part of PNTS Network. Scram Punks every Wednesdays, 9:30 on Dirk Griggity's channel. Shameless plug. On my own shit. Yeah, shameless plug. That surprised me. So on my way of getting ready to work, I said, oh no, I'm going to be a little late. I got to hit the studio. I dropped a video. But guess what? 4 days later, you know why MM2K ain't dropped no video? It ain't because I had to. I can play Rage 2 anytime. Because it didn't surprise me. Y'all sleepy as hell out here. Y'all are lacking the no-dos because you don't want to deal with reality. I feel like I'm talking to my kids here, slapping my hands, all types of silly stuff. Well, come on, y'all. Come on. If you want to have the argument, the experience provided by XYZ company is the best right now, and here's why. Go right ahead, have that argument. You can have that argument all day. But to sit there like you are in the boardroom making decisions with these companies, looking over their financials and their revenue streams and having these conversations with them on top of that over strategy. And you're sitting there telling the gaming public that may not be the wiser that so-and-so company will never do this or so-and-so company is definitely going to do that. You are not only misleading yourself, but you're misleading all of gamers. So all of you out there that were shocked by this, that are damage controlling this, that are trying to spin this to fit your own narrative. If you don't elevate your discussion, if you don't get into a brand new bag, if you don't instead do what my homie Yabari did, now that was smart. He said, okay, maybe that is what they're doing. But I like the Sony and now. I don't like Sony doing this. This is not fruitful to me, the gamer. That's the discussion field in reality. You then need to turn to your base of supporters and people out here that agree with you and say to them, we don't like this, y'all, and we need to let Sony know that if this is the way of the walk, we ain't strutting with them. Now, whether I agree with that or not, that's one thing. But I can respect that because that is a conversation rooted in reality. Because whether you like it or not, the console war is over. And you know what else is over? This stream from your boy MM2K. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, we had a big group coming in listening. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody coming through, man. Let me go to the chat real quick. The best damn chat in the world. Let me see here. I'm gonna go backwards. The Almighty. Bomba Clock Dirt Griggity. What's up? Metaphor Kickle. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, my bad for butchering that, man. Dirt Griggity says I don't put nothing past the company, and that's the way it needs to be, man. Homie Graphic God, thank you for coming through. C Black Rider says, hey, Jay. The Almighty Spartan God says that cell architecture was basically the power PC CPU on steroids. Oh, yeah. You know, when you develop, I mean, it was more powerful when its full potential was released. But if you look up, go on GameSpot, I think they have a listing of teraflops, the biggest games via teraflop. And it's under the 360, not because it's less powerful, but the computing mechanism used, you know, like teraflops, from what I understand correctly, again, I'm not a technical guy, it's a theoretical math computation of power. So it deals with likelihood, I would presume, and the likelihood of draining out that power was low. So it actually is listed to have less teraflops than the 360, even though we know that when the game was utilized, I think what Grand Theft Auto 5 finally showed that, like when the power of the cell processor was understood and utilized, you know what I'm saying? It was really astronomical. But to that token, it was the less selling unit. So people weren't going to invest all that time into it. The nail bat, I'm sorry, says if Sony puts half their lineup on stream, it would sell like gangbusters. Absolutely. And the only reason why they couldn't do it is because wherever they had PlayStation Now serve that was trash. It couldn't handle the PlayStation 3 games or the PlayStation 2 games. It was trash. That's the only reason why they didn't do it. Philosopher Doom says, lead them to the promised land, Moses. I'm trying, bro. I'm trying, man. Look. This is not this is not an attack on any single YouTuber or any single group or PlayStation fanboys or Xbox fanboys. I'm going to say this. I think you all are guilty. You all are guilty. You all are guilty. And when I say you, I'm not talking about you in the chat. I'm talking about the influencers. You all are guilty. I mean, I've been listening to these podcasts since it's been released. And it's been nothing but bibble babble. The real discussion is, are we now going to stop talking about dedicated hardware and how we're going to frame exclusivity or quality of product? So the consumer can understand what they're getting into. And the consumer is now getting into a hardware agnostic platform across the board. The goddamn Madbox, it's out of commission. They after Google Stadia, people are talking all this stuff. Google, nobody's talking about Google Stadia because Google ain't talking about it no more. They showed gamers what it could do by having that beta. And I've seen it firsthand. The shit works. They did their presentation. We may have not went over the best, but again, they're rolling it out. But just off of the market insiders alone, they've pulled out of investing out of the Mad Box, which was going to be another console that was coming out. And that's doomed. So the dedicated hardware model is starting to have less and less impact a lot sooner than you guys were alluding. And hey, I can admit when I was wrong. My homie Porter Rock was joking with me on Twitter. He said, yo, we still waiting for Xbox One X's to make it the Xbox One family competitive again because people getting their tax returns. Hey, I can admit when I was wrong. I pulled that back faster than lightning, baby. When I saw Phil on Dice's stage, I said, oh, these mugs ain't trying to compete. And if they're not trying to compete, then Xbox One X ain't pushing nothing nowhere. I can admit when I was wrong. Y'all were wrong. Y'all were wrong. Y'all were warned. Y'all were stuck in this siloed argument over hardware. And y'all were wrong. It's okay. It's okay. The sun will come out tomorrow. It's going to be all right. You're not in the boardrooms with these companies. You're just making predictions. Some predictions are going to be right. Some predictions are going to be wrong. But after the horse is dead, for you to keep pounding on and saying, we got to kill this thing, it makes you look silly. Okay? And that's all it is. You look silly. The Almighty Spark God said, Netflix coming to E3? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I might do a video on it. Banghouse said both companies signed the paper, money on both sides. This is more or less a collaboration. And yeah, there's going to be money on both sides. From insiders and people that are familiar to this deal, it's a lot more lucrative for Microsoft, but it don't matter. It's a lot more lucrative up front for Microsoft. But again, if by using the Azure servers, PlayStation has the more popular streaming service, then it might end up being more lucrative for Sony. The fact of the matter is that they're teaming up. Cali Rex, L Boogie, software sales went up from scratch discs. Oh, L Boogie was talking about, yeah, the software sales went up when the discs were scratched. Yeah. with the red ring of death. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Y'all need to stop it. King Wowzers. Hey, yo. Hey, Wave. Don't come to my chat with your stuff. You mad because I didn't invite you, bro? No, let me stop. Let me stop messing with Wave. Hey, y'all, join that Broadband Bullies Discord, man. If y'all ain't sensitive out here, if y'all ain't sensitive to the sunlight, and y'all like to cut it up and have it, hey, man, my homie King Wave, big up to King Wave. You know what I'm saying? Big up to Drake Corp. Big up to all of them, man. We be cutting it up in that Discord, man. Having a good time. If you like to cut up, join the Broadband Bullies Discord. Chop it up with us, man. We be having a good time, man. You know what I'm saying? And I got some new messages down here. Let me get to them real quick. Want to do a podcast together, man? Not a problem, bro. Not a problem. Not a problem. We'll get that deal signed, man. Nailbait says, but if Sony puts all their games on PS Now, their consoles won't sell. Xbox can put their games on PC because their console isn't selling. I don't know, because you gotta have, if you want the best look, here's the thing. Think about it this way. So this is all strategic. If y'all think that last week Satya Nadella said, come on, Yoshida, come on, man. I'll give you a pack of Twizzlers if you sign this deal, baby. No. This is something that's been in the works for a while. These type of deals do not happen overnight. Sony's been at Microsoft since last year, as far as we know it. They were there with Gabe Newell from Valve, looking at the AR VR technology that Microsoft had. You think that Microsoft didn't utilize that time to go over the Azure cloud with them too, and show them numbers with that too, and Sony pondered on that? And then to my homie Real Masculine's point, he said that now there's new leadership there at, I believe it's PlayStation. I don't think so much Sony, but the new leadership at PlayStation, like Kador and them, they're more digital games, server, software, games friendly, gaming friendly. You know what I'm saying? So here's Sony's approach, which I think is very intelligent. We have the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 is going to be powerful as hell. You're going to get your 4K 60 as long as the program is programmed for 4K 60. You're going to get some good shit, right? But if you ain't worried about having the good stuff and you just want to play our greatness on PC, phone, tablet, then sign up for the new revamped PlayStation Now service, where we don't know how they're going to run the service. For $20 a month, you can get 100 hours of our games as they release day and date. Or you can buy them at a 30% discount for being signed up to the service. We don't know what their PlayStation Now model is going to be when they roll this out. But what you better believe is that games are going to come that are new, whether it's day and date. It may be the following quarter, but newer games are going to come. They now have the capabilities. What hamstrung them was that the capabilities weren't there. That's what MM2K believes. That all signs are pointing to that, and that's where I'm hedging my bets. But I will never say Sony will never do it. I will not say Sony is absolutely going to do it, no doubts about it. But if you think otherwise, the probability is less than none. I'm going to tell you what's going to drive Sony's decision is the market. It's why your 2019 and your 2018 look like they're from two totally different dimensions. And the reason why I'm saying Sony's going to do it is because that's where the market is focused on. They are a Fortune 500 company, and I can't say this too many times. That Fortune 500 companies' primary focus is the investors, not the consumers. The consumers are a catalyst to the investors. Look, we get X amount of money from these consumers. If you invest in us, your dollar will grow by X amount next year in the 12-month period, 12 to 18-month period. That's it. So because the market is driving Sony in this direction, and Sony seems to be following that tunnel, walking through that tunnel, I believe that Sony is going to put their newer games closer to day and date on their new service. When the market dictates otherwise, if the market were to change around and say, oh, big fall in cloud gaming is not going to work, then I'm going to believe Sony's going to do otherwise. But until then, you follow the market to see what they're going to do. Period. Graphic God said, I'm looking forward to playing Sony exclusives on my TV. I don't want to buy another box. And Graphic God, you're going to have that luxury. Period. I'm sorry. So with that being said, I appreciate all of y'all signing up, listening to your boy, man. We had a lot to cover. I mean, I wanted to talk a little Rage too, but I'll drop a video on that later. And I'm sorry I haven't dropped material. I had to do stuff around the house. Nothing really surprised me. Just I got some thoughts. So I got some videos coming, but nothing really big. But with that being said, I want to big up to everybody watching. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy Game of Thrones finale if you're into that. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy the beautiful weather if the weather is beautiful out there where you're at. And as always, you have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.
Flying high as a kite.